Our country was founded on small acreage farmers. The percentage of families that live on farms today is drastically reduced from what it was 50 years ago. I am one of the dying breeds of having a family farm, and I'm doing it on about 20 acres. Hey, how'd Keith do?
Oh, come on. Y'all putting on apron?
I'm putting on an apron. You gotta put one on too, Keith.
Get out of here. I know how to do this.
Someone helped me along the way, and I feel I owe it to the industry to help everybody else that I come in contact with.
This program is dedicated to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. May God bless America. Today's Americans are more disconnected with nature than any time in history. This disconnect has led to a society that is unaware of the importance of conservation of our natural resources. Fortunately, there are modern-day heroes who are still in touch with nature, and they work to protect wildlife and wildlife habitat for future generations. Those stories are told here on Keith Warren's Deer and Wildlife Stories. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance, Schrade Knives, New Dart, the North American Deer Farmers Association, DNA Solutions and North American Deer Registry, Record Rack, Whitetails Sales and Service, Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles, and the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance Foundation.
Our country was founded on small acreage farmers. We're really losing that as the acreage gets larger, farms become corporate farms, and the percentage of families that live on farms today is drastically reduced from what it was 50 years ago. I am one of the dying breeds of having a family farm, and I'm doing it on about 20 acres. I don't know of any other agriculture endeavor where you can have a small acreage as I do and make a pretty good living off of it. And being able to stay home and have a home office with your family is unbelievable. The unique thing about Waldvogel Whitetails is that my farm is associated with and identified with pretty much its own unique line of deer. Max is really the founding father of the Waldvogel line. So when you're thinking of Max and all the great deer that he produced, and Waldvogel Boomer and so on and so forth, that's the Waldvogel line, and that was created and produced on my farm, and I'm very, very proud of that.
For me, it's all about feelings. Everything I do is about feelings, and the feeling right now, the best way I can describe it is when I was a little kid looking forward to Christmas coming and just getting a present, or looking forward to going to a special place like Disney World for the very first time. Well, this right here is one of those feelings that I get because I've been wanting to come here for a long, long time. This is Central Ohio. This is a place just outside of the town called London, and this is Waldvogel Whitetails. Kurt Waldvogel is a legend when it comes to growing big whitetail deer, and anybody in the whitetail deer breeding business or anybody that really loves whitetail deer probably has heard of Kurt Waldvogel. And I'm telling you, on today's show, we're going to show you some stuff that's happening right here that's going to blow your mind. What do we have here?
This is our feed mixing room. We mix our feed fresh just about every day or every other day. And we dump our ingredients into this hopper here, and when you turn it on, it mixes it all together. We add a little bit of soybean oil, add a little molasses to make it nice and sweet.
What do you do in the process of weaning the fawns?
We actually use this as our main feed when they're younger, but what we'll do is we'll add some extra soybeans to increase the protein level.
Right, so it's just the natural process. At about 60 days old, isn't it, that they start kind of weaning off of mama or weaning off the bottle and start nibbling around, eating stuff. So,
correct.
And by about 90 days to 100 days, they're totally weaned. They're on their own.
They will naturally wean themselves most times. I mean, they will just, you can offer them the bottle at some points in time. They just won't come in. They know they need solid food.
Look at this. Looks good enough to eat. So what are y'all doing? Y'all putting on aprons?
I'm putting on an apron. You got to put one on too, Keith.
Okay, let's see. I know this one's going to really irritate my cameraman. I'll wear this one. This is going to be fun. I like doing this. I like playing with the babies. All right, show me how it's done.
We are warming up the milk. And when you put the appropriate amount of hot water in the 3 gallons of milk and leave it sit about 15-20 minutes, the milk will be lukewarm. And now we're just going to fill the bottles up, put the nipples on the bottles, and we are going to feed the fawns.
Y'all are so cute. Oh, come on. Look at that. Now, these guys are about 60 days old here. This one's a little pig right here on the left. You want some cookies to go with it? One down, there's a whole bunch to go. You know, a lot of people, they think this is a job. This is fun. This is when you grow up on a farm or you love farm life, it's just all part of the gig, and it's all fun to me.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
My kids wake up earlier in the summer than they need to during school.
They learn responsibility and respect for nature.
Did Keith hog all the cover?
It was raining pretty good.
We'll be right back.
Brought to you in part by new supercharged scent killer by Wildlife Research Center, beyond 99%.
Hey, how'd Keith do?
Come on now.
I think he was slacking a little bit.
Was he slacking a little bit? That sounds like the Keith I know.
The weather's pretty nasty, actually, but you know, deer in the wild, they have to put up with this all the time. And these deer have to put up with changes in weather too. But it's interesting, as a deer farmer, you learn so much about deer and the way they react in weather like this.
You got wet. Is it raining outside, Eric? Hey, did Keith hog all the cover, all the shelter?
It was raining pretty good.
It's very important that my kids grow up in a country setting, in the farm environment. It definitely instills in them the values and morals and ethics and responsibilities that I believe all children need, and that is, it's unbelievably rewarding to be able to work with your family, with your children. Whitetail deer farming allows people to do that, and on small acreage, so you don't need 1,000 acres to have a deer farm and raise your family like that. See you, buddy. Go get dried up, all right? All the kids' friends come over, and that's what they want to see. They want to see the deer. And these are kids that otherwise would never, ever be experiencing that. I mean, my kids wake up earlier in the summer than they need to during school. Now, how many kids can say they have to do that? I often provide the foundation animals for a person's herd. They can come here and buy, you know, a few does and maybe a buck. I believe in my genetics, and I believe it's going to start them off in the right direction. But it doesn't stop there. I protect my buyers in that if they have bad luck along the way, I try to help make sure that their investment is protected. I offer my customers to lean on me when they need advice on what from feed to pen design to bottle feeding fawns, no matter what it is when it comes to deer farming. When I was at their stage, that's what I did. Someone helped me along the way, and I feel I owe it to the industry to help everybody else that I come in contact with.
There's the bench out front.
Well, whoa, don't go too far there, Keith. We're not quite done yet.
What do you mean? What?
Well, seems that the kids ran off on us. The kids usually sweep and mop, And seeing the kids are gone, if you can't roust them back up, I guess you got another job to do.
This doesn't fit my hand too well.
Is that a left-handed broom? Because I have a right-handed broom.
Get out of here, I know how to do this. Yeah, I just don't want my wife seeing this video. I don't want her to see that I can do this. I'm gonna have to talk to those kids. I don't know if leaving me to do this. You really are living the dream.
I am. I really am. I feel very fortunate every day to be able to raise deer on this property, and I never go to work because this isn't work to me. I enjoy it so much.
It's a passion.
It is, and it's really nice to be able to wake up and spend time with your kids and doing something you enjoy so much, and instilling in them the values and the ethics of farm life. If you notice the layout, you don't notice it right off the get-go, but after you really inspect it, I really tried to minimize the number of trees I had to take out, and I tried to use a natural lay of the land, the natural landscape, natural trails that were already there, and run my fences along them to preserve that.
I know this area is clear when you drive around. Almost all the habitat for wildlife is gone because it's agriculture. They've
Yes.
turned it into nothing but agriculture, which is good. We got to feed people too. But
Correct.
at the same time, they've destroyed the native habitat for the white-tailed deer, the squirrels, the rabbits, and everything else. And so, this farm and other deer farms like it allow you to actually set aside nature for future generations. I think it's so cool.
And I think the word is out, because I think every rabbit in the county has found out that this place has been protected and preserved because I think they all live here.
There you go.
I'm excited about where our industry is going in such that I see the number of deer farmers is growing nationwide, and because they're growing nationwide, I believe it's because the segment of the population that is accepting and choosing to hunt in a preserve, which our industry offers, is growing.
Thanks to the white-tailed deer, the family farm, the dream of living on a family farm is still alive and well right here in the United States. If y'all would like more information on Kurt's operation here in Central Ohio, we'll have his contact information coming up at the end of the show. I'll tell you what, when you come out here, you're going to be amazed that the family farm really is a dream that can come true.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Hunting, kids aren't going outside. So what my thought is as an industry, if you have a deer farm, if you have a special piece of property, invite the local kids. If he doesn't understand nature, how's he going to ever appreciate hunting? There are businesses that are in trouble that have to do with the outdoors. And the golf business is gigantic trouble because kids aren't taking up golf because they're not going outside. It's not just hunting. Kids aren't going outside. So what my thought is as an industry, if you have a deer farm, if you have a special piece of property, invite the local kids. Like I said earlier, if you don't blow your own horn, nobody's going to do it for you. Call the media. Have your friend call the media. Have the newspaper come out and take a picture of the kids on the wagon and tell them what you're doing.
The DEFA is a deer organization that's designed for deer farmers, not just deer farmers, but all cervidae. And they're a loud voice out there, you know, trying to get the concept out of what we do. And I think they do a good job with it. I support them, I'm a member. And my children, my boys are all members also. And they do a lot for us in terms of political action, in terms of getting our voice out there, in terms of fairness, showing people the other side of the coin. Because a lot of times anti-people only want to portray what would appear to be the bad side, they say, these deer in pens and so forth. And I think the best thing I could say that NADEFA does for us is they help to educate all, that that's not the case. It's a wonderful industry. There's much to be learned from it, much to be given from it. And it's definitely a huge impact on our society, and it's in a very, very positive way.
If we did not have NADEFA, which is the North American Deer Farmers Association, the efforts that they do, traveling all over the country, dealing with Washington, the federal laws, we would be in trouble. The industry would not work nationwide. We spend money all the time fighting misconceptions, rules and regulations, ones that make sense, ones that don't make sense. So NADIFA is key to what we do.
Just about everything that has to do with deer farming, whether it be elk farming, red deer, whitetail, pretty much any cervids, NADIFA is there to promote the industry, to grow it.
I currently am the Vice President of North American Deer Farmers Association, which is the umbrella association that represents producers from Canada, U.S., Mexico. NADIFA is just a wonderful organization that brings together all the different state associations, and we fight for the benefit of the industry as a whole.
If anybody out there is a deer farmer and you're not a member of your state association, I would urge you to become a member. If you're not a member of NADIFA, shame on you, because you're a deer farmer. And the way I look at it, united we stand, and we've got to all stand together. We need one voice to represent us, and NADIFA is that voice. But right now, let's go look at some big deer.
All right.
Up next, a message from Keith.
I guess the right word for it is apathy, but I call it lip service. And I want y'all to listen to what I'm talking about.
We'll be right back. This week's viewer email is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles.
This is from Bill Jones, and he's from Atlanta, Georgia. Dear Keith, what can a small tract of land produce in the way of big deer, and how fast can that place produce a high-end buck? Bill, a small piece of land can produce a big deer, but you've got to let him get old first, and you got to give him the right nutrition. And once you combine those things, age and nutrition, even poor genetic deer, let's say medium genetic deer, are going to get pretty big. How long does it take? Well, up north, a lot of people believe that a mature deer is 3 to 4 years old. Down south, a mature deer is 5 to 7 years old. So it all depends. In Georgia, I'd say a 5-6-year-old buck is going to take you that long to produce a deer, but the big challenge is going to be keeping that deer alive until he's 5 or 6 years old.
If you have a question for Keith, you can submit an email by logging on to keithwarren.net. Now a word from the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance in this week's conservation message.
I guess the right word for it is apathy, but I call it lip service, and I want y'all to listen to what I'm talking about. Radical activist groups are spending millions of dollars to ban hunting. They're lobbying Washington bureaucrats and pouring money into the state referendums to eradicate century-old traditions that are enjoyed by sportsmen and landowners. These efforts pose serious threats to our way of life. But there is one threat to our outdoor traditions that is even more dangerous. It's apathy, and I like to call it lip service from hunters. Research indicates that there's 20.6 million active hunters in the United States and 43.7 million people who have hunted in their life. Yet our nation's largest organization to advocate all forms of hunting, the National Rifle Association, only has about 4 million members. Too many hunters are complaining on their bar stool about the cost of hunting or the lack of public lands. Too many sportsmen are giving lip service and not giving support. Join the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance and other groups that are working to increase hunter participation and youth education about wildlife. Start a local chapter to help your community, or at least show your support and become a member. Ask the dove hunters in Michigan, ask the game ranchers in Montana or North Dakota. They'll tell you the same thing. Words without action are worthless, and gestures of goodwill are meaningless unless they're backed up with action, folks, and your membership to organizations that are going to protect the future of hunting.
If you would like to know more about what the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance can do for the future of the outdoors, log on to deerwildlifealliance.org. If you would like more information on today's featured operation, log on to their website or give them a call. For more on Keith Warren and show information, log on to keithwarren.net. To learn more about becoming a deer breeder, Log on to the North American Deer Farmers Association. Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Take a good look right there at that gate. Don't forget it, folks. That's Fort Knox, and you're fixing to find out.
I can't believe we got Keith out there picking up fawn poop.
Let me tell you something. I picked up lots of pieces, but I had never picked up pieces of that before.
Keith Warren, I think he's really he's kind of an icon, just a great steward of land management and wildlife.
As a mother, you love your children, and your children can be raised here on the farm.
Come on, Mama.
You have your ups, you have your downs. You get out what you put in. Can't think of anything else in the whole world I'd rather do. That's just the way it is.